Okay, just got back from dinner, had wings with my son. Anyway, so I've gone ahead and just finished out this melee. So it turns out that there were 2 elves taken prisoner. There was 1 goblin taken prisoner. Technically, we would have to give up guard, but in this case, it's less than 5. So I think we're just going to leave it as is and take them off the board and just note that they're prisoners. If we were playing a campaign, that would matter. The other thing is I went ahead and rolled morale. The goblins rolled a 6, even though they subtract 1 pip. That will take them down to 5. They will still survive that morale check. Same thing, these guys rolled a 4, and I think that's going to be sufficient too. So neither unit is leaving the table. Now on to this other melee. We've got these guys that moved their base forward into contact with these heavy-foot Vikings who have spears as well as regular arms. Now, if you look at the order of who strikes first, figure in a building, nope, doesn't apply. Spearman, yep, that might apply. And then figure with base-to-base contact. Now, they had 1 spearman, one man with a halberd, basically. Another guy's got a spear. I don't know that it matters so much unless I wanted to go down to man, which I think I might actually do in this case. So let's take an opportunity to do this as a man-to-man style combat. Okay, simple man-to-man. Who's going to strike first? Troop armed with a missile weapon initially armed with a missile weapon never strikes first in a round. Otherwise, in the first round of combat, the first blow goes to the combatant who charges. Nope, didn't happen. If both charge or neither charge, you dice to see whose blow lands first, i.e. who is the attacker. And in second and subsequent rounds, the defender strikes first. So first of all, who's the attacker? Red side, blue side. So let's see, this is the blue side, so we'll roll on this side of the table. They got a 4. These guys get a 6. Looks like red side is going to be the attacker here. All right, next up, of these guys in contact, it does say that troop armed with a hafted weapon may strike from the second rank, and we're going to go with how the figures are portrayed on the table. And then each blow and counter blow resolved by rolling a d6. So we're going to just roll those now. Okay, so I already found a small correction to make to the rules, and this will make a difference in this combat. So unarmored is armor class 9 or 8, which is basically no armor or just a shield. Half armored is 765, so leather armor, leather and shield, or chainmail. And then finally armored is 432, so chain and shield. So these guys over on the Viking side are chainmail and shield. Don't know if you can see that, but it is chainmail and shield. And this guys on the other side, the billmen, halberdiers, whatever you want to call these guys, they do not have shields. So to strike against them requires a 5 or greater dice roll, whereas to strike back takes a 6 or greater to hit. Because of the way the dice rolled, there was 1 hit from this side. This back guy, he stabbed across and stabbed that guy in the front. And then same thing, the back guy here stabbed this front guy in the front. So I'm going to remove those figures now. Okay, I did that completely wrong, but looking at how the dice rolls worked out such that it was the rear ranks in both cases that struck home, no change in effect. Okay, so turn 3 is turning out to be pretty interesting so far. Over here, the javeliners moved up on the crossbowmen, getting into melee contact. Before they did, they took pass-through fire, lost 1 man, won't force a morale check. Moving back over to this side of the table, the goblins versus the elves. The elves these were the guys with the bows, so they switched out weapons. I think I'm going to end up giving the initiative to the goblins over there on their turn. Interesting development here. The heavy horse, they came across the field, which, looking at the movement rate, I'm treating this as woods. I'm not treating it as marshland. That would be too harsh. So we're going to treat it as woods. They had a 7.5 movement rate. They made it to here. They did suffer pass-through fire, but no casualties were taken. And then these horsemen that were over here to the left noticed that this was happening and moved up to protect their archers and got 3 men in contact with the limit of their advance. So we might do some jousting here. I think we will, to resolve those melees and see how that subsystem works. So these guys remained stationary and fired once during the pass-through phase. They won't get a shot during the missile phase unless it comes over here as a result of this combat. These guys moved diagonally up because they didn't have a clear shot over here anymore. These guys moved on the oblique and came into contact. Some men reinforced upward. And yeah, it's a mess over here. Big old melee. Let's see what happens. So we're going to handle the goblins versus the elves first. Like I said, the goblins are going to go first. Goblins, when attacking, are treated as heavy foot. The wargs are treated as light horse, and I'm giving them 2 attacks because they're 2 hit dice creatures. 2 to 3 hit dice creatures. So that's how I'm going to work that. So let's see what happens. Do the goblins inflict any casualties? Well, let's see. Heavy foot versus heavy foot is a 6, and their goblin. I want this focus. Heavy foot versus heavy foot is a 6, but they're goblins, so they need a 7. So I'm going to roll the 2 goblins that are on foot first. Of course, 1 hit, 1 off the table. Where did it go? Over here. Okay. Doesn't matter, 1 hit, 1 miss. So we're going to just set 1 dude aside. And then the wargs, we're going to give them 2 attacks. So this warg, and looking at the table, like I said, this is light horse versus heavy foot. So that's, again, a 6 needed, which they're not goblins, so they don't need to bump down, but they only rolled a 7 and a 2, so this one's a kill. And then this other one, I rolled a 6 and a 2. Let me push the dice over here. So 6 and a 2. Can't even see the dice. Come on, come on. And now I rolled it, of course. Well, take my word for it. It was a 6 and a 2. The 6 hit. So all 3 of them were killed before they had an opportunity for their blows. Let's see if any of these guys were taken prisoner. Again, these are not knights nor faction leaders, so there's only a 1 in 6 chance that they are taken prisoner. No prisoners. No prisoners. I'm going to shoot this out of order, literally shoot it. So these guys are going to get a chance to shoot at those goblins on the missile fire because there's nothing impeding them now. There are 8 archers. That works out to be, you divide by 3, so there are going to be 2 dice that get rolled straight up. The goblins and the wolves I'm going to treat as unarmored. I could be convinced otherwise, but I'm going to go ahead and roll these dice, and if we get a 3 or more, so we got 2 hits there, and then the way it works for single figures, for figures 7 and 8, is that it's basically rolling with disadvantage. So you roll 2 dice and you take the lower. So already have 2 hits on them. That's a 3 and a 2. So that's going to be a 2. And that's going to be a miss. And then we're going to roll again. And it is a 2 and a 3. Same thing. We take the 2, which is lower. And therefore that's a miss. So 2 hits. And at this point, I don't know if I would force another check because they don't violate the 2 to 1 rule. And they already made a check when they achieve the 50%. So I think they stay on the field at this point. And because it's 2 hits, I'm going to just take off one of the wargs. That'll make it easy. Okay, moving around the table, we're going to handle the jousting next, which is basically the melee phase, but we're going to use the jousting rules, simple jousting rules. So basically attack value is equivalent to the level as a fighting man, a warrior. But for non-warriors, that's going to be a 0. Both combatants roll d6 to see if their lance strikes home. None of them have horsemanship skills, so that doesn't matter. So we're going to roll d6 and see if the lance struck home. These are strikes that are in earnest, right? And the way it's going to work is if one side inflicts more hit points than the other side, the side that inflicted the most points is the winner, and I will remove the losing figure. So this should be very simple. Let's roll the dice. So 3 and 3, three sixes and 3 6s. And it's almost a stand-in here. So we're going to just arrange this way. So 1, 2, 3 in contact. I guess you can tell what these guys are. And then 3 over here. Same thing. We're going to just shepherd the dice this way. Oh, damn it. Let me go back to the tape. Hilarious. There is no tape because I zoomed in too much. So Anna just noticed that my dogs continue to get on this black shirt and make it look like I'm some kind of homeless vagrant that never does his laundry. All right, so 3, 2, and 4. I should have called out the dice values. Maybe I should do that next time. So 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be pretty easy since the dice and the table both escalate in the same manner. So let's take a look. Well, I guess we might have to roll the hits. So let's take the 2. A 1 or a 2 is a miss. So this guy missed completely. That guy missed completely. This guy missed completely. So I guess it's pretty easy. This figure is going to be removed because a 5 is going to do some damage. And then, so this guy gets removed. And then since these guys' opponents, 3 and 4 both do damage, right? One of them is a hit on a shield, doing 1 to 2 hit points, and the other one's a hit on a shoulder, doing 3. Like if we were rolling hit points, we could get really granular with this, but we're not. We're just trying to see who wins. So it's going to be 2 horsemen eliminated. You can see that this speeds up combat, right? If I were to roll this heavy horse versus heavy horse, just for giggles, what if I would have done heavy horse versus heavy horse in the mass combat rules? Let's take a look. So heavy horse on bottom row versus heavy horse would have been a 6 or better, you know, basically 50% chances. Even odds. I think this worked out to be about the same kind of result. Oh, I've got to check to see if anybody's taken prisoner instead of slain outright. So these 2 guys that were wounded, or I'm sorry, these 2 guys on the blue team, 4 and a 2. That is, oh, that's interesting. These guys are knights, prisoners. 2 and 6 chance for a knight. So one of these guys was taken prisoner, and the other one is dead for reals. So he's dead for reals. The other one's taken prisoner. And then on the red side, he's a knight, so he's taken prisoner. So prisoner for prisoner. That's how that would work. Okay, coming around the table here, we've got the Javelineers that moved into base-to-base contact with the crossbowmen. So the Javelineers get to make their dice rolls first. 'Tis only fair since they had to suffer some pass-through fire. Again, let's just roll the d12s and see what we see. 1, 2, 3 d12s, a 2, a 6, and an 8. Well, the 2 is going to be a miss. So these guys are considered lightfoot, and they are attacking. I'm going to call those crossbowmen. I've been moving them as though they're lightfoot as well, even though they've got a kettle helm. I've gone back and forth in my mind. Let's just take a look, if it even makes a difference. So lightfoot versus lightfoot, 6 or better would hit. So we would have 2 kills and 1 miss. If it's lightfoot versus heavyfoot, we would have no kills. I think we're going to call them both lightfoot. We're going to take 2 off. So that's easy. We'll check to see if either of those are taken prisoner in a minute, because technically all that stuff is handled during the admin phase. I've been collapsing these phases because you can kind of isolate some of this stuff. And then, oh, the dogs are playing now. Okay. These 2 guys get their chance for counter blow. Same situation, 1 kill. So we're gonna take an mostly unpaid. Oh, he's got some paint on him. We're gonna take this guy off. Well, first we're gonna determine if they're prisoners or not. All right, prisoners, because these are nobodies. These are low-level scrubs. 1 in 6 chance. A prisoner, not a prisoner, not a prisoner, not a prisoner. So all those guys are dead.